I recently tried to get tickets for a show at the Hollywood Bowl as a disabled person, and it did not go well. And I am not sharing this to shame the Hollywood Bowl. I mean, like, maybe a tiny bit. I understand that their historic nature gives them a lot of like disability access loopholes, so they don't have to meet all of the requirements. And honestly, they do meet a lot of needs in spite of that. But I want to use this as an example and share this story because I think folks need to understand that disability access is not just like whether you can like physically get inside of a place. There's a lot more to it, and there's a lot that goes into planning something that might seem simple when you're not disabled if you are disabled. And I thought this story, I mean, I was surprised at how it ended. Everybody watching this, if you already follow me, you know I love Disney. If you aren't following me, you can probably tell from my screen name that I love Disney. And there's a Disney concert coming up at the Hollywood Bowl, and this is my first year living in the greater Los Angeles area. So I was super excited to check this out. Like, this venue is legendary, you know. So um, I'm doing all, all of the steps and the research. So let's start with just, okay, how do I get there as a disabled person? Now, sometimes I use a mobility scooter, sometimes I use a cane, sometimes I am quote unquote fine and normal and I don't use any sort of mobility aid. But I like to plan for the sort of like worst case scenario of what if I feel so bad that day that I do need the scooter, and hope for the best, hopefully I'll feel great that day. So they do have some disability parking lots, but the main way to get there seems to be because the parking sells out really fast. And the main way to get there was these different buses, and they do say that they are wheelchair accessible. All of the pictures that I saw, like that didn't actually seem to be the case. All of the pictures that I saw were just like those tour buses. Everyone's been on those at least once, right? On some class trip where they have like those TVs and they've got the like fabricy seats and the tight like row that you awkwardly walk down in the middle. They looked like that. Maybe there were some out there that I just didn't see, but I was like, okay, this doesn't seem like it's going to be a great option for me. Like, if I can take this, which I mean, it does say wheelchair accessible, but that doesn't necessarily include a scooter, which is like longer. Um, Scooters are a lot better for me because I have a lot of issues with hand mobility and pain, and you have to like usually be able to like move your own wheelchair or on a electric one. A lot of them have like little joysticks that I would not be able to control. So, this is my best option. So, all right, we're thinking that we're probably gonna have to drive there and figure out the parking. We'll come back to that then, but it does seem like there's an option. There's disability parking lots. Okay, so then we get there. I have to figure out, all right, so is there food that I can eat? Is there food I can bring? I have a lot of different food sensitivities. They do seem to have a lot of options, and you can bring your own food. Cool. Okay, we're doing good so far. Then there's the actual physical access to the seats. So I did a lot of like looking around at photos, trying to figure out because this place is really, really large. It looks like it has combos of like moving sidewalks and I don't know, just all sorts of different stuff. I decide that so there's a few sections that say that they are actually like disability accessible seats for people in wheelchairs and such. So I figure, all right, I'm not going to buy a seat above any of those levels because these levels, they're essentially guaranteeing that they can get a disabled person in a wheelchair to that level of seating. And there are several levels of seating beyond that where maybe there's like escalators and things, but if an escalator breaks down and turns into stairs, I can't necessarily do that. So, okay, it seems like the best option. We're going to stick with the same levels that have disability seating because it seems like there's some like the venue saying they can get folks to access that level in some way, right? So, okay. Now we have to figure out, can I actually sit in the seat? Because um it's really hard for me to sit for a long period of time in a seat that doesn't have a back on it. So now we're looking at the reviews of the and the photos of the actual seats. Well, okay, so they are benches, like park style benches. So okay, they have a back support. Doesn't seem like the most comfortable thing ever, but it does seem like it's doable. So, all right, this is seem impossible so far, but as we're going through this is a lot of time spent looking at Google Earth photos, looking at Yelp photos, looking at people's blogs and posts on Instagram and TikTok videos, like trying to find all the information, watching YouTube videos of people going to their seats or doing a walking tour of the stadium. This was not easy. So we go back to the parking situation. And the reason that we had kind of had to put that on hold was that the disability parking has a number that you have to call in order to get a ticket for it. So we don't want to actually purchase a ticket until we know for sure we can have disability access, because as I said, we weren't sure if the bus situation that most people do was something that I would be able to do or not. So we call, and they're only open certain hours, so we had to wait till they're open. Even then, it's during a show, so they said you have to call back tomorrow. But we said, well, can you tell us, one thing? So the regular parking is so-called stacked, like all the cars are really close together, which is a little weird for if you're disabled, you need space to be able to get your mobility device, your wheelchair, etc., in and out of the car, put it together sometimes. Some folks have a ramp that folds down for them to come out. There's a lot going on. So these are also stacked, was what we find out when we talk to the man on the phone. And that means that if you are disabled and you park in this disabled parking lot, even though it is being defined as accessible, you, one, cannot leave the venue early, which is a big problem for folks who have chronic illnesses that symptoms can pop up randomly. And you probably are going to have to kind of do a valet situation where you pull into the lot, maybe find a place off to the side, get the disabled person out of the car. I hope they're not the one driving, and then park in the stacked situation where it's all smooshed together because you're not going to actually be able to get your mobility device out of the car otherwise. So I'm this is at least what I'm understanding from talking to the person on the phone. It's possible that I have something wrong, but all of this is to say at this point we gave up and said, you know what? Let's just go to freaking Disneyland instead. And this is why, folks, I go to Disneyland so much because I understand the access needs are gonna be met. I understand the parking situation. I know that I can leave if I need to. I know I can access medical services if I need to. There are so many things they will accommodate on food needs. You can take a rest somewhere in the park if you need to. They will help you with so many different things. It's so difficult to plan to go anywhere as a disabled person. And this is just one concert for one night that I put hours and hours of research into to determine that it was actually not something that met my access needs.